What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we need to break down patch 5.03 finally live. There's a lot of crazy changes in here that we need to talk about, and we need to talk about the implication for the meta as a whole. So we're gonna break it all down. We are excited to introduce you to our brand new sponsorship, Outplayed. Now, Outplayed is the ultimate video capturing app for gamers, and you're gonna be able to automatically capture your best moments and biggest plays, and even anything else with just the press of a button. Whether it's an ace, a sick goal, or maybe you completely whiffed and you want to share it with your friends, Outplayed makes sure you never miss an interesting moment, and then you could share it very easily with Discord, YouTube, or anywhere else. On top of that, there's a built-in video editor, so you can edit your videos from within the app, meaning you can record and output a ton of content, sending it to your friends, building up your channel, or anything else. Outplayed supports over 300 games, so what are you waiting for? Go check it out right now in the download links below. Now, the first thing that they wanted to mention is that there's an engine update to Unreal Engine 4.26. They said that this is going to help the developers, and we're not going to really feel this that much, but I thought I would mention it here because it is going to allow a lot of the clunkiness to be removed and the UI to be more cohesive overall. And also, there's an agent browser visual redesign that looks really cool, a lot more polished. We showcased this several videos ago, so make sure you smash that subscribe so you don't miss out on all the early bits of information. Now, moving on to the bread and butter of the patch. First off, agent changes is Chamber, and they said this about the Chamber changes, quote, "As players in both ranked and pro play have mastered Chamber, his strengths have started to overshadow his weaknesses, making the counterplay to Rendezvous and its arsenal not as effective as we hoped. Chamber's overall strength has also felt outsized, and we believe that we can reduce the complete power of his kit while still keeping him competitive with the rest of the roster." Now, for his Rendezvous, they took his base cooldown, then they increased it from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. They've taken his recall cooldown and increased that from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. Now, it's important that both of these things are just going to mean that it's going to be more punishing to actually recall your Rendezvous, and it's also less forgiving to use it in the first place because it's like a 10 extra second addition to the cooldown after you teleport. So that is going to be felt, and especially when you are pulling it and going to retake, you're going to have to burn time off the clock before you get to lay it down again. And 10 extra seconds per on both of these will be felt, especially if you consider throughout the course of an entire round if Chamber does stay alive. Now, the cooldown is now set to 45 seconds whenever a Rendezvous anchor is destroyed. So if your anchor gets found and destroyed, you're punished with an extra 15 seconds as opposed to recalling it, which is already brutal considering it was, all the way up from 20 seconds. So you're getting an extra 25 seconds attached to that. So that's a ton of time that is going to be burned if that Rendezvous gets destroyed. It's really not going to want that to get destroyed. And if you do destroy a Rendezvous, it's important to keep note that they're not going to be able to teleport for a damn long time, which you can legitimately use to your advantage. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the diameter size of the ring Chamber can stand that allows him to activate Rendezvous is decreased from 21 meters to 15 meters. This thing is damn small now. That's quite a reduction. And that means that the distance that you can stand away from your Rendezvous anchor is reduced. And that's gonna really limit you about where you can actually stand away from that Rendezvous anchor. So not only does this decrease the overall distance they could be apart because the circle radius is smaller, it also makes it so when you place down an anchor, you have less area around that anchor that you can fight from and still teleport away. Now, they said this about the changes, quote, "Chamber's Rendezvous is intended to be powerful at holding space, but the generous radius allowed him to take that space with more aggression than intended. This change should require Chamber to exert more effort to access off angles." They also said, "We hope that a harsher punishment for destroying Rendezvous anchors and the reduced radius will demand Chambermains to be more careful in their use. This change also brings the counterplay of Chamber's destructible objects more in line with the behavior of other destructible objects in game. On top of that, the trademark now only slows 6 seconds instead of 9.5 seconds, and the Tour de Force costs an extra ultimate point, and the slow when you get a kill is only 6 seconds as opposed to 9.5 before. In addition to that, Headhunter bullet cost got increased from 100 to 150, and they said this about it, quote, It's important that Headhunter is a powerful sidearm for Chamber, but at its current price point, Chamber doesn't have to engage in making difficult economic decisions as meaningful as other agents. This should most notably impact Chamber's decision-making on pistol round and save rounds. The ultimate point change to Tour de Force is also working towards this goal. Now, honestly, this is going to be pretty brutal towards Chamber, but it targets one of the biggest things that makes Chamber so powerful, and it's the fact that he could just ignore the economy rules of the freaking game. He has a pistol that's like a mini Guardian. He has an ultimate that he gets after he gets a lot of kills, and he gets it really easily, and he gets a lot of kills really easily because he has Headhunter that's so cheap. So you could see how he doesn't ever really need to truly save, and he can keep, chaining his abilities over and over again to the point where it's almost like Chamber never really has to save. And that's what this is targeting. Now, that being said, what they did overall with Chamber is they really hit him across the board. They didn't target things specifically like I thought they were. I thought they were going to perhaps make it so you can't whip out Headhunter as fast. Or they were going to put a longer delay with the sniper rifle, or maybe make it so he could, start with 2 bullets. And every time he gets the kill with the sniper rifle, he gets another bullet. That's stuff that I thought they would go, but instead, they just kept Chamber in his current state, but just reduced his power level by a lot, pretty much across the board. They hit everything. They hit his economy. They hit his ability to take off angles. They hit his trademark slow. I mean, everything. And I definitely think this is an interesting way to go about the character because it keeps him fundamentally the same, just weaker in power level. Let's see if it lines up with the rest of the cast. But of course, we're going to break down exactly what this means for him in the meta in our tier list video, so stay tuned till then. Now, the next big change that happened was the ability regional damage breakup. And basically what they are doing is they are changing how ultimates interact with different parts of the body. Just like how guns do different damage to different body parts, character ultimates should follow the same vein, according to them. And in order to enact that, for Chamber, his Tour de Force is now only doing 85% damage to the legs, and Jet's Blade Storm is only doing 85% damage to the legs. Now, specifically with that Blade Storm, that's gonna be really annoying on Jet when you hit people like in the legs and you would have killed them if you hit them in the body. Definitely gonna be frustrating, but it is what it is. You already get punished really hard for not hitting the head in the first place. Now it's gonna punish you for not hitting body shots. But the most interesting change to this is actually Neon, who didn't just receive a nerf with this, she received a buff in some way. So her Overdrive ultimate, the damage per shot got reduced from 22 down to 18, but the kill zone is increased from 15 meters to 20 meters, so it's further distance. And just like the other ones, the leg shot multiplier is only doing 85% of the damage, but the headshot multiplier is doing 3 times the damage. And they did testing with this on the PBE, and essentially, you can fly around the corner, and if you track the head for just even a little tiny bit of time, you're basically insta-killing. This allows Neon players that are skilled at tracking and have good crosshair placement and can hit that head to just shred people almost instantly. And that was one of the problems with Neon, where you could perfectly, track someone as you slide around the corner, but if the enemy hits the head on you, you're dead. It doesn't matter if you're doing it perfectly, unless you set it up with a breach stun or something like that. But now you could actually just one-tap people. So this is a huge buff to Neon. In the hands of a skilled player, Neon's gonna be way better. In the hands of a unskilled player, Neon's gonna be way worse. So it's definitely something interesting. Now, while all of these changes are very interesting for the meta, and like I said, we'll talk about that in the tier list, there are a couple of changes that aren't on here. I think a lot of people want Cypher changes really, really bad, and there's no Cypher changes in sight. I'm gonna hope some Cypher changes are going through some point down the line. I know Riot has said that they are keeping an eye on Cypher, but let me know how you feel about these changes. How do you feel about the Chamber changes? And are there any other character changes that you think need a buff or a nerf? Thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you next time.